I can bet that every time you hear the mention of Turkey, these things will pop into your mind. Istanbul, Hagia Sophia, drones, and Erdogan. Yes, Erdogan, the man who stayed in power longer than well over 30% of Turkish citizens have been alive. And that's no small feat, because his term in power has surpassed the tenure of the founder of the modern Turkish Republic, Kemal Atatürk. And his vehicle to power, the AK party, used political maneuvers and economic incentives to ensure the longevity of his rule. But even before the AK party, Erdogan was no stranger to Turkish politics. He made his name as the Welfare Party's mayor of Istanbul back in 1994. And although ousted from mayorship and later jailed for reciting a contentious poem, he returned as the prime minister thanks to the dismissal of his disqualification. Now, at the time, Turkey was reeling from a struggling economy that came to a head in 2001. Its foreign exchange tanked, interest rates shot through the roof, and inflation skyrocketed. And right in the nick of time came Erdogan, promising economic miracles and delivering on resolving water supply issues, waste recycling, and roads and infrastructure for Istanbul. And he also paid back the city's loan and brought in investments. And that got him the attention of Turkish voters, who came out in droves to vote for the newly founded AK party. But what did the AK party do to cement their endured political success? They made inroads in rural areas by resuming farmer support, universal healthcare insurance, and monthly direct cash support to low-income families. In the early days of his rule, Erdogan's outreach to ethnic and religious minority groups addressed many of their grievances. But this success was of course short-lived. And as we speak, the conflict with the Kurdish resistance is still unresolved. But all wasn't swell, and their rule was challenged by the Turkish army, which has historically been the guardian of Kemalist secularism in Turkey. AK party evaded coup attempts in 2003, in 2007, and a botched coup in 2016. And while AK party avoided direct confrontation with the military, it favored a measured approach towards asserting its power.
President used to send him files back, not signing his files till he got his own president, Abdullah Gül. Then he started asserting, but that took him almost 4 years. He ended those military interventions. They were quite subtly from behind. In the higher judiciary, there used to be the military judge. That was abolished. In the constitutional provision of martial law was abolished. Turkey, in the constitution, is a secular country. He didn't touch that.
And this also led to a series of unprecedented crackdowns against political opponents, civil society activists, and protesters.
The coup came, it kind of an godsend opportunity. The way the people came on the streets against that coup, he took advantage of that, and all those generals who had these political aspirations in their minds, they were purged.
After the failed coup of 2016, thousands of police officers, school teachers, and judges, as well as military personnel, were purged.
And this purge wasn't just against Kemalist secularists, but supposed sympathizers of the coup and Erdogan's political opponent, Fethullah Gulen, whose organization was subsequently declared a terrorist entity by the ruling party. Not just that, but the government's restrictive approach had an impact on Turkey's press freedom,
sliding Turkey's ranking lower on the Press Freedom Index, and shows authoritative tendencies against Erdogan's critics. In contrast, under the AK party's rule, Turkey saw major improvements in the overall GDP, GDP per capita, and in the Human Development Index. And here's how they achieved this.
Erdogan developed this Anatolia area and the Black Sea area. He came to power on riding on the economy. 5 or 6% Turks may have given him vote because of his ideology, but most of these votes that he has a solid 32% vote bank, which his party has, that came because of these promises of the economy. And he delivered on those promises. Because of this negotiations, the European Union was also going, and in the anticipation that Turkey may join the European Union, were coming here with the money and buying assets. There was a demand for the housing. Companies came here to actually build houses, and that itself circulated the economy.
Early on, old lira bills were replaced to achieve stability for the extremely devalued currency. Along with this, Turkey's infrastructure and defense industry also experienced rapid growth. And all that economic success translated in the AK party pushing for a more assertive foreign policy position. Back in 2003, they refused land corridors to the US and only gave airspace access to the US forces for the Iraq war, and later went head-to-head with Israel by sending Freedom Flotilla of 6 civilian ships to overrun the Israeli blockade of the Gaza Strip. And Turkey's involvement in Syria brought them into the the crosshairs of the US-Russia contest, especially their support to Islamist groups which estranged Turkish relations with the US over its support of Kurdish fighters against the Islamic State.
Although Turkey supported certain Islamist groups, but they also supported efforts against the Islamic State,
which Turkey considers a terrorist organization. Erdogan's attempt to gain greater influence in the Muslim world led to tensions with Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Similarly, Turkey's relation with the EU has been tumultuous. Their attempt to be part of the EU and subsequent failure to do so affected relations negatively.
This is also partly due to the EU's stop-start approach towards Turkey's EU membership.
While it cooperated with the EU by restricting the flow of Syrian refugees to Europe and accepted Finland in NATO, but under the AK party, Turkey also blocked Sweden's bid for NATO membership. And since 2018, the Turkish economy has seen a decline in growth, including chronic inflation and a depleting value in currency. And then COVID happened. All of this was at the center stage of the 2023 elections. A good number of surveys have showed that AK party might be coming to the end of its 2-decade power marathon. Despite a close race with his opponent, Erdogan and AK party managed to retain the presidency. Erdogan was once again the charismatic symbol of their election campaign. In a marked shift from AK party's usual approach of relying on regional leaders and local problems in local body elections, the presidential campaign relied heavily on rallies and a strong social media approach, addressing the public in local dialects and also invoking religious and nationalist symbols to mobilize support. And then it didn't end there. The party doubled down on promises of infrastructure development, growing defense industry, curbing inflation, and a commitment to avoiding polarizing messaging during and after the election campaign. And most importantly, AK party's consistent alliance with the Nationalist Movement Party also helped them retain power in both the parliament and the presidency. All of this combined made Recep Tayyip Erdogan's rule surpass that of the founder of secular Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. And after the elections, the ruling party is adopting a reconciliatory approach towards the West, leading to an acceptance of Sweden's membership into the NATO alliance. The success of the AK party is a combination of staying connected to the constituency, delivering on the economy, improving governance, and managing endured alliances. The AK party's ability to adapt, negotiate, and consolidate power has allowed them to shape the political landscape of Turkey for the last 2 decades. However, the AK party's electoral triumphs have been attributed to a popular party leader.
The local bodies elections, they are quite very challenge for Erdogan. He won his presidential election on the promise of reviving the economy. If it doesn't happen, it will be quite difficult for him. Even before the elections, we were hearing those voices from within the AK party as well, that after Erdogan, they have to choose some other leader. They will also like to go back to the parliamentary system of democracy where they can actually hold that person accountable.
And now only time will tell whether the post-Erdogan AK party would be able to adapt and retain power in the years to come, or if this is an unhealthy dependence on one man's popularity and legacy, which might not bode well for the future of the party itself. What do you think? Can the AK party survive and thrive without the face and legacy of Tayyip Erdogan? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, tell us what other topics you'd like us to cover. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way to the next video. Be well and browse well.